has definitely been a while since we have received a new class in World of Warcraft, and keep in mind, what is actually playable is only a small portion of all the lore classes that are available within the entire Warcraft franchise. Now, previously, I've already made a video similar to this one, covering a few interesting ones such as Blade Masters, but as some of you have pointed out, I really missed a bunch that, in my opinion, could be even more interesting and even more unique. So let us take a look at some really cool World of Warcraft classes that could make an excellent addition in a future expansion. As gamers, we spend a long time in front of screens, and that can really strain your eyes if you put in the long hours. Well, GMG Performance, the sponsor of this video, has the solution, as they sent me these glasses a few months back. Really, when you put them on, you can immediately feel your eyes relax, as they're pretty much a blue light shield which can have really harmful effects if you're exposed to it for a very long time. The ones they sent me are the Uranus ones, which are a new generation, but they also sent me the optimizers, which are super cool as well. While it can be a bit pricey, GMG Performance is offering a really good promotion right now, as you can get 40% off using my link in the description, meaning you can pretty much get it for nearly half the actual price. However, that is only for the next 48 hours since this video's release. So check out my link in the description and check out GMG Performance. Witch Doctors. Immediately, you may be thinking, aren't these already kinda available through the priests and shamans? However, what is available is but a shade of what a witch doctor really is, and they definitely could be an entire class for themselves with a lot of interesting features. It is hard to even describe what a witch doctor is, because a better question is, what aren't they? Witch doctors are alchemists, they brew potions, poisons, they can curse, hex, transform. They are the spiritual leaders of the trolls, and they communicate with the Loa. They are sentries able to leave eyes in the open to give them information, and overall they can just do a whole bunch of crazy things. Realistically, their lore is kinda vague, so they can be shaped either way, but best way to describe them is that they're sort of on the bad side of the caster spectrum. I know this might come as a shock to some, but trolls aren't exactly very nice people, at least through our human standards and morals. In fact, they are quite savage and do a lot of sacrificing and overall a bunch of bad things. This definitely reflects in witch doctors, as they throw terrible curses, they turn people into frogs, they use voodoo, a dark type of magic, and they just have some really gruesome rituals. I know it is a bit ridiculous to classify them in this manner, but I'd say there's something in between a mage and a necromancer. Neither a professional caster from Dalaran, but nor are they just straight out users of evil dark magics. In terms of the actual class, they can mainly be a DPS one with the ability to heal, so something along the lines of shamans and druids, and this could be quite easily introduced. One of the big issues is that witch doctors are almost exclusively a troll class. It originated with the trolls, and it has been a part of their culture for thousands of years. However, surprisingly enough, they have taught other races this art, one of them being orcs, but we can also see ogres and even pygmies being witch doctors. It even went as far as there being a few human witch doctors in Strangled Thornvale. So overall, while they are definitely a troll thing, just like most classes, they can easily be transferred to a few of the other playable races. Definitely not all of them, but the main thing is that there is a precedent so other races can learn. Personally, I think it would be a great idea, as while they're similar to certain classes, they really do have a unique look, and witch doctors would just be a great addition. Spellbreakers. One of the most unique classes on this list, and actually a class from Warcraft 3 that never really had a proper introduction into World of Warcraft. Their lore is incredibly vague. Some sources state that they were only employed when the High Elves turned into Blood Elves, which means quite recently, but some point that they have a long tradition in High Elven society. It is uncertain what is actually correct, but let's focus on the more interesting aspects. So this class is unlike any other, where you have mages, warlocks, warlocks and all types of wizards, these guys are literally the countercasters made to battle against magic. Essentially, an elite force used to fight against outlawed spellcasters, necromancers, and all sorts of evil rogue magic practitioners. This concept, when you think about it, makes total sense, as High Elven society was all about magic and powerful use of it, so obviously you would need an order to enforce law when you have some very dangerous criminals. It is said that this elite order was originally very few in numbers, but they were almost led to extinction when Kiltus invaded the Blood Elves, and they were said to be essentially but a relic of a bygone era. However, Lortimer ordered the revitalization of Spellbreaker training, and we had actually seen these guys in Pandaria having a pretty significant and important role. Now, as a class, Spellbreakers are super cool, and I would personally love to play as one of them. They're generally either heavily or medium armored. They wield this very unique giant two-bladed sword with great expertise, and they carry this gigantic body-sized shield, no doubt with anti-magic properties able to reflect spells. While they're said to be incredibly skilled with a blade, their main focus is anti-magic. It is stealing spells, reflecting, and using magic against the casters, and literally siphoning mana from magic users, making them unable to cast anything in the first place. When you really examine them, you can see that they can be a really cool playable class, obviously tank-based, but also definitely able to DPS quite a bit. There could be a focus on melee combat or some type of magic. Now, while warriors, for example, are able to reflect spells to a limited degree, this could be the specialty of the Spellbreakers, and because of that, they could really make perfect tanks. One of the issues is that this is strictly a Blood Elven class. In fact, this design is what you imagine Blood Elves to even look like, and that is why they chose the gods to look like them. However, I don't really see this as that big of an issue because nothing really ties them to the Blood Elves, and this type of training could very easily transfer to essentially every other playable race that we have, as spellbreaking isn't really a Blood Elven thing, but it is a technique that can be learned with a great understanding of magic. Wardens. One of the coolest classes for Warcraft 3, with the main representative being Maiev Shadowsong. So, the Wardens are quite unique and are actually very few in numbers. They are an elite force of the Watchers that are mainly used as jailers. However, the Wardens are like the special forces and the highest ranks of the Watchers. They're used as marshals within Night Elven society, as well as assassins to deal with very dangerous threats. Maiev was the most notable one, and we have seen them in World of Warcraft, most notably in Legion. However, the majority of them were destroyed as the Legion invaded them, and some were even rezzed by Sylvanas, which meant for a time there were undead Wardens that actually served the Horde. This could be the biggest issue for the class, as originally they were very few in numbers, but most recently they lost even more. The only upside is that they did start training some new recruits recently. However, I gotta say that was also the case with Demon Hunters, and what do you know, you can play as one of them. Wardens are, I'd say, more similar to rogues, but they're really a unique class, kind of medium heavily armored. They wield this strange circular weapon that they can throw and use it in melee as well. They use owls for reconnaissance, and they can employ a few supernatural powers such as blink, which allows them to catch up to their opponents really fast or pass through natural obstacles to reach their target faster. The thing is though, this is exclusively a Night Elven class, very notable in their own society specifically, but I think if they went the route of getting new recruits and maybe even those recruited by Sylvanas, this could be spread to both factions, and no doubt most playable races would be able to become a Warden. The biggest argument for this being a playable class is the fact that this was a hero unit in Warcraft 3, so really it has a lot of tradition in the game universe. Spiritwalker. This is one of the oldest Warcraft 3 classes that may actually become very important right now with the Shadowlands and this entire afterlife and spirit thing. Lore of the Spiritwalkers is quite vague, but without a doubt they hold a significant role in especially Tauren society, as this is mainly a Tauren class after all. It isn't certain what they are exactly, but we can describe them in simple terms. Essentially, Spiritwalkers use their bodies to channel ancestral spirits, relive their memories, and there's something of a connection between the spirit realm and the mortal plane. This is now incredibly interesting with recent Shadowlands lore, as we learned that certain individuals could be held by powerful enough force that they don't actually go into the Shadowlands, but they linger around the force that actually draws them. This could mean that these Spiritwalkers don't really go into the Shadowlands, but it's more like they commune with those that are in the in-between. Of course, super vague, but as a class, they could be very interesting, and the recent Shadowlands stuff could give them a justification to be added. They could be tanks and DPS, mainly because they have a ethereal form that essentially makes them immune to damage. They wield totems and are something akin to shamans and druids. In fact, they are so similar that these Spiritwalkers also kinda exist in orcish society as well, although they are a bit different, as orcs are known to be very tied to their spirits or their ancestors. I'd say this would primarily be a Tauren in orc class, but it could be added to other races with the Shadowlands, and really, it could be something akin to the shamans and the druids. Chronomancer. So this is really the only class on this list that doesn't actually exist, but it could easily be introduced, and it may just be the most unique out of all of them. So chronomancers already kinda exist as bronze dragons that maintain the caverns of time, but they're not really a class in the traditional sense. Time travel is one of the vaguest concepts of the entire Warcraft universe, which, while a bad thing, gives Blizzard a lot of room to add new lore and just shape this thing. My vision of chronomancers could be focusing on short-term time travel, which could make them excellent healers and DPS. Just imagine a class that could turn back time on certain individuals so that the damage they take reverts back and nothing actually happens. That would really be the most unique and interesting healer class out of all of them. This could further turn into creating portals, possibly summoning minions from alternate realms akin to other classes having pets, and a whole bunch of damaging abilities. As a class, since they don't really exist, I could see every race being one of these. And the way they could be added is with dragons, mainly the bronze dragon fight and something happening to the caverns of time, which could give rise to a chronomancer order. I think especially now this could be a really interesting class with all the dragon expansion speculations, and this could literally be a class that could be added immediately after Shadowlands if they decide to go this route. Now, as I said, an incredibly vague concept that can be shaped whatever way they would like, but a chronomancer definitely has a lot of potential to become something really unique for World of Warcraft. Thank you for watching. Check out Could Dragons Become the Next Playable Race by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.